Hello again. I am back with another puzzle as part of a puzzle cycle. As you may recall, we did a puzzle cycle recently, Ranksk and Bremster and zetamath and I made a puzzle for zetamath, and I solved a puzzle by Bremster, and we decided to reverse the cycle, and zetamath has sent me a puzzle, and I've sent a puzzle to Bremster. So this is the puzzle that zetamath asked for me to solve. I am led to believe this is fairly difficult. I have seen some people posting on Discord asking for help that are trying to solve it. So I have ignored all of those posts because I don't want any spoilers. But there we go. So it's a Schrödinger puzzle. So that should be interesting. We've got some interesting rules here. This is called Archa or Archa. I probably should have looked up how to pronounce that, but it's pretty on brand for me not to know how to pronounce things. So it is the Latin word for box, though. And since it's a Schrödinger puzzle, Schrödinger's cat, put the cat in a box. There you go. And as I said, it's by zetamath. So here's the rules. We have normal-ish Sudoku rules. I should also mention, that Zeta solved my puzzle, and on the first part of the cycle, and he got a little confused. I am not a Hawkeye, I'm a Cyclone. I went to Iowa State. So we're just going to correct that misconception right there. I say confused. I don't think it was accidental. And on an unrelated note, I don't know how many of you know this, but Zeta actually lives in Iowa, same place I do, which is interesting. And he actually moved to Iowa to become a farmer. And all of his math videos, you may not realize this, that doesn't look like it, but he actually films all those math videos in his tractor while he's out in the field. So there you go. Interesting behind the scenes from Zeta. So rules for this puzzle, normal-ish Sudoku rules apply. And it's normal-ish because we actually have the digits 0 through 9 in each row, column, and box instead of 1 through 9. And so that's 10 digits that have to go in 9 cells. And so the way that works is one cell in each row, column, and box is a Schrödinger cell. Schrödinger, I don't even know how to pronounce that. I don't know how to pronounce things. And so it actually has 2 digits in it. So this cell right here, for example, if this was the Schrödinger cell, you could put a 2 and a 5 in it. And so you're putting 2 digits in that cell. And so you could have, alternatively, you could have like a 0 and a 5, because the 0 is one of the digits, or you could have a 0 by itself. And so then the interesting thing about that is these Renban lines are consecutive digits in some order, like usual. But if you have a Schrödinger cell, like let's say this was the one that had like a 1 and a 4 on it, 1 and a 4, both those digits count as part of the sequence. So this could be a 1 and a 4, and then you could have like a 2 and a 3, and a 0 and a 5. And this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it would be all consecutive digits. The other thing is we have these X's, which are like normal. The cells sum to 10. But in this case, you can have, again, a Schrödinger cell on here, and you could have, so you could have a 3 with a 2, 5. And it's the total of all the digits on here. And so it's interesting because normally you can't put a 5 on an X because it would have to have another 5. But in this case, you can, because you could do a 5 with a 2, 3. You could do 2 and 5 with 3. You could do a 5 with a 1, 4. You could also put a 0 on an X if you had like a 1, 9 or something on the other side. So there you go. That is all the rules. So we just have normal Renban, normal X rules, and then the only weird thing is the Schrödinger cell, where we're putting 2 digits into a cell. And that's it. So there we go. I'm going to give it a try now. Link in the description as usual. You can give it a shot yourself. I'm going to reset the timer. Restart. There we go. All right. So where do we look first? That's the real question, isn't it? Well, there's 2x. Okay, so this has to be right. Okay. Yep. So this would be impossible normally because whatever you put here, let's imagine it's a 1. This would then be a 9. Whatever this would be its counterpart that sums to 10. But this one has to also be the 9's counterpart that sums to 10, so it would have to be another 1. So this is impossible normally, which tells us that the Schrödinger cell has to be on one of those 3. So that means the rest of this, I think I'm going to already start coloring. I'm going to mark, yeah, I'm going to mark in gray the ones that can't be. Now, do we know, it could probably be any of these 3, couldn't it? Okay. Oh, we also know that these are not, because it's just 1 in the box and it has to be down here. Actually, I think it can't be the middle one. Because if this was the one that had the 2 digits, whatever it is, those 2 digits are going to sum to, let's call it y, okay? So the 2 digits, they sum to y. If this is y total, this one has to be 10 minus y, and this one has to be 10 minus y, so they would have to be the same digit. So this one cannot be. So one of these 2 is a single digit, and the other one is 2 digits that equal that other digit, which tells us almost nothing. I suppose we can't have, we could have a 0 there though, couldn't we? I was gonna say we can't have a 0 in here, but actually we can't have a 0 on the x's. Because, so one of them is a single digit, which obviously can't be a 0 because this is a single digit. And you can't do a 0 and a single digit to make 10. And the whole point of the one of these having 2 digits is those 2 digits have to sum to the other digit on the other side, whichever direction it goes. And so if you had a 0, it would have to be a 0 and that same digit again, which would defeat the purpose of, I mean, the whole reason to have 2 digits is because you can't do the same digit again. So, but you could put a 0 here and then have like, no, you can't. You can't put a 0 there. Because again, one of these 2 is a single digit, it would have to be a 10. So the 0 can't be across here. Okay, right. So that tells us the 0 is on one of these Renban lines. Now, wherever you put a 0 on a Renban, there's going to have to be a 1. And on one of these where it's more than, I mean, up here you could do a 0 and a 1 on these short ones. But on one of these, you're going to have a 1 and a 2 on there. Minimum. Now this one allows you a little bit of a cheat. Because what I'm thinking is if you had 0, 1, and 2, you're losing a lot of options in here by getting rid of the 1 and the 2. Another thing to think about, can we put 9 and 8 on the x's? I think only if you use the 1. Because you could put 9... no, you can't. Because... Right, because this can't be the 9. If this is the 9, one of these 2 has to be a 1. Let's just say it's this one, is a 1. This one then has to be 2 things that sum to 1, which is, I mean, nonsense. I mean, we can do 0 and 1, but again, we can't use the 1 again. So you can't put the 9 in the middle. You could put the 9 over here with a 1 in the middle, but now you can't use an 8 because it would have to be 8 and 1 to make 9. And you've got the 1. So we can't put the 9 and the 8 in here. And the reason I'm thinking about that is so one of these 2 is going to have at least an 8, if not a 9. The 9 will force the 8. But again, you've got this cheat here. I keep calling it a cheat. Essentially what I'm saying is, if we put a 0 over here, let's just say this is a 0. You have to have the 1 on this line now. But you don't... You could put it here, which would rule it out of these x's. But you could also put it up here, and in fact, you could put like 1 and 2 up here. And now you can have the 0 and, a 3 and a 4 or something. And you can still use the 1 and the 2 over here. So the 0 doesn't quite force the 1. All right, here's what I want to do. I want to try it over here. I just want to write in, let's assume these are 0, 1, and let's assume the 0 is over here. If the 0 is over here, it forces the 1 and the 2 also to be here. There's no cheating and putting it up in the next row. These are all single digits. You can't double up. The 0 forces the 1 and the 2 onto here. Now, is this possible? So you don't have 1 and 2. So one of these x's has to be 2 single digits, just like our normal, plain old, everyday x's. So you can't do 9 and 1, you can't do 2 and 8. It would have to be 3, 7, or 4, 6. So, okay, so the fact that we can't put a 9 in here now tells us the 9 is over here. And so even if you put the 8 and the 7, theoretically, no, you can't put the 8 and the 7 up here. It's summing to x. It's summing to 10 total, so you can't put an 8 and a 7. So if you could put the 8 up here, potentially, it would force the 7 to be here, though. The 8 or the 7. You could put the 7 up here, and you could have an 8 here. But we can't put the 8 in here, because it has to have a 2. So the 8 is over here. The 9 and the 8 are over here. Now, it either has the 7, or the 7 is up here and it has a 6. So there's a 7 or a 6 in here. So we're left with 3, 4, 5, and 6 or 7. Okay, so if it's 7, you'd have 3 and 7. 6 would be over here. Yeah, you'd have 3 and 7 on one side of the x, and the other side would have to sum to either 3 or 7, and you'd have 4 and 5, which doesn't work. So if you had 4 and 6, that means the 7 is over here. 4 and 6, and you have 3 and 5 left, and they have to sum to 4 or 6, which doesn't work. Those sum to 8. So this doesn't work. There's probably a better way to do that than kind of writing them in and trying it, but I'm just still trying to get my head kind of wrapped around what's going on here. So what I've shown in a roundabout way is that you cannot put the 0 on this line, which is what I was expecting. Because I think because we're doing, one of these is a small digit with a big digit, right? Because normally on a 10, on an x, and since one of these is like a normal x because it's 2 single digits, you need a 1, 2, 3, or 4 with a 6, 7, 8, or 9. And so one of them is a smaller digit. The other one, this third digit, whichever one is the third, is going to be 2 digits summing to one of those two. And so again, it's going to have to be smaller digits. You could get like a 3, 6 to make a 9 or something, but at least one of those two is going to be small. So if we do 0, 1, and 2 over here, you're already losing, 1 and 2. So the point is the 0 is over here. Now, as we've shown, okay, so this works out the same way. We couldn't put 0, 1, and 2 over here, so we cannot put 0, 1, and 2 on this side. It works. It's just, symmetrical, same argument. So the 1 or the 2 is going to have to be up here. Now, potentially both could be up there. Because you could do 1 and 2 with a 7. But definitely 1 or 2 will have to be up here. This is going to be a little tricky to mark. I guess once we know it's a Schrödinger cell, we'll color it. to make sure we don't get confused between pencil marking and Schrödinger cell. Okay, so this can't be 0, 1, and 2. One of them is up here. That means the 3 has to be on here. Because you could do 0, 1, 3 with a 2 up here, 0, 2, 3 with a 1 up there. But the 3 is going to have to be on here. Okay, so which tells us that we cannot put the 7 in the middle here. The 7 has to go over here. Now, what I'm wondering is 4, 6 possible? Now, the reason I'm asking about 4, 6 is because 6 is the smallest of the big digits. And so therefore it has the least amount of ways to have 2-digit sum to it. So let's imagine we had, well, we can't do the 4. This would have to be 1 and 3, and we already know we can't use the 3. So it would have to be 6 and 4. These would have to sum to 6. They can't be 2, 4. So it would have to be 1, 5. Which I think is possible. You'd have to put the 2 over here, and you'd have 7, 8, and 9 over here. It's possible. Could we put? I don't think we can do 8 and 2. Let's look at 8 and 2 for a second. The reason you can't do 8 and 2 is because what are the ways you can make 8? 1 and 7. Well, we can't use the 7. 2 and 6. Obviously, we can't use the 2. We've used it with the 8 already. And 3 and 5, and we've already got the 3 over here. So you can't put the 8 in the middle. The 8 goes over here with the 7. Now this has to either have 6 or 9. Oop, not 0. 6 or 9. And the other one, the 6 or the 9, will have to go in here. So this could be 9, 1, and I remember this could go either direction. I'm just sort of choosing this side just to write things in temporarily so I can see what's going on. So this could be 6, 4, or 9, 1. Now we already said if it was 6, 4, this would have to be 1, 1, 5. If it's 9, 1, this would have to be 4, 5. Oh, that's interesting. If it's 4, you need to have 1, 5. And if it's 1, you need to have 4, 5. So either way, whichever side is the Schrödinger cell, it's 1, 4, and 5. And the 2 is on here no matter what, which means this is a 1. Now, theoretically, this could be a 1 and a 4 as well, because you've got 0, 1, 2, 3. You could put a 4 in there if that was a Schrödinger cell. This one would have to be a 5 then. That's possible. But we don't know that yet, so I'm just going to put the 1 there. It has to be there. Okay, so now we don't know which of these 2 is the Schrödinger cell, but we know this much. Okay, and this is 7, 8 with a 6 or a 9. Okay, good. We don't have, well, we kind of have a digit in the grid, actually. We know this has to be a 1. We just don't know if it's also a 4. But we've placed the 1. So that's our first digit in the grid. We're going to call that a digit in the grid. I'm going to do that temporarily and then make it back to small, just so that I can feel like I put a digit in the grid. Where do we go? Okay, so now maybe over here. Oh, yes. Okay, perfect. Because we know we have 3 of the big digits down here, right? 7, 8 with a 6 or a 9. And we just said that on a normal X, you have to have a small digit and a big digit, a low and a high. We only have one high available. So only one of these X's can be a standard X. The other one must have the Schrödinger cell. Therefore, these are not Schrödinger. Now, okay, so one of these is 6, 4 or 1, 9. And the other one, six, 4, 1, 9. What's the other one though? Okay, so, right, so, yes, okay. One thing I know is whichever one is the 6-4 or the 1-9, one of the digits is on the Renban line. Okay, obviously, these two, right? Now, I think it has to be the smaller of the two because, I mean, obviously, you can't put a 9 up here on the Renban. It's going to force an 8 onto the Renban. We've already got the 8 down here. Not possible. But the 6, theoretically, you could put up here. But what happens if you have a 6? If you have a 6 on the line here, what does that mean? Well, we know the 7 and the 8 are down here. So we can't put a 7 or an 8, but we can't put the 7 on here, which is the important part. So what's going to be consecutive on the line? It's got to be 5 and 4 because you got 2 more cells. But the 6 goes with the 4. So the 4 can't be on the line. So that doesn't work. So what that means is whichever one is the normal x, the 1 or the 4 is on the top, and the 6 or the 9 is on the bottom. Now, I'm just going to pick this one for right now. I want to kind of write things in, see what I've got going on with the rest of it. This could be over here. These two could be flip-flopped. And it's not really going to make any difference right now. It'll probably be determined by what goes on up here. I suspect this box is going to be important because we've got 3 sets. So, I mean, we can't do... Again, there's this little cheat of putting one out here. But, yeah. Like, the 9 is going to have an 8 with it. 0 is going to have a 1 and a 2. The 9 will have to have an 8 and a 7. Unless it's right here. Anyways, okay. I'm going to keep looking down here for right now. So, if this were 1-9, what would go on the other side? We've already used 6, 7, and 8 in that situation, and 9. Well, either way, neither one of these can have a 6, 7, 8, or 9. So does that mean we have to have a 5? I think it does. Is there any way to make 10 in 3 cells that don't have a 6, 7, 8, or 9 without using a 5? Well, 4, 3, 2 is the biggest you can do without a 5, and that's 9. So you have to have a 5. So the 5 would have to be in here. Actually, either way, whether this is 6 or 9 with 1 or 4, it doesn't really matter because the 6, 7, 8, or 9 are already used down here. And so this has to have a 5. The other one has to... right. The other 2 cells. Now, that doesn't mean... So you could have a 5 and you could have 2 down here. Or you could put one with the 5 and have another one down here. Doesn't really matter at this point. The point is you need 2 other numbers with the 5. The other 2 have to sum to 5. And it can't be 1, 4 because we're using the 1 or the 4 with the 6 or the 9. So it has to be 2, 3. So this have to be 2, 3, 5. So one of these 2 is a 9 with a 1 or a 6 with a 4. The other 2 cells are 2, 3, 5. They could be flipped over. This is then 0 and whichever one is not in here. Now the question becomes, could the 5 be on the line? No. No. Because if the... no, it can't. Okay, because if the 5 is on the line, obviously we can put a 4 on the line in one of these 2 spots. But then you have to have a 3 on the line. Okay, the 5 and the 3 can go together with the 2 opposite. That's fine. So you could have 5 and 3 here. You could have a 4 in one of these 2. But then you have to have a 2 or a 6, and the 2 is down here, and the 6 is somewhere over here. So you can't put the 5 on the line. So the 5 goes down here. Now, it could have a 2 or a 3 with it, with the other one up here. Or these could be a 2, 3 pair. The 5 down here. And now the 4 or the 1 with the 2 or the 3. No, actually, no. So you have to have, right, so if this is a 4, you got to have the 3, and you have to have the 2. And then this would be 1. This would be 1. It would be 4, 2, 3, 1. If this is 1, you've got to have the 2, but then you could have the 0, or you could have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but the 5 has to be down here, and the 6 or the 9 has to be down here. Now, these can flip-flop, like we said. Okay. Oh, man. 21 minutes in. I've got 1 digit in the grid over here. Okay. Interesting, actually. Actually, yes. What? Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay, I see something. Nice. Very nice. Okay. This is a 1. Now we know we have to have either one more number or potentially 2 more numbers in these 2 cells. They have to sum to 10. So we need 2 digits. That's 1 or 2 digits to sum to 9. If it's 1 digit, it's a 9, right? Like, obviously. If it's 2 digits, we can't do 1, 8, but we also can't do 2, 7 or 3, 6 because we've got the 2 and the 3 down here. So it would have to be 4, 5. But, and it could be, we could be 1 and 4 with a 5, 1 and 5 with a 4. It doesn't really matter. Let's just say 4, 5 right there for argument's sake. If we did 1 with 4 and 5, we already decided, now these could be flip-flopped, we know, but the 5 is in one of these 2 cells. So this can't have a 5 over here. Therefore, this is 1 and 9. And they are big digits. And they are not Schrödinger cells. And now we know this is, this is 6 with 4. That forces the 3 and the 2, and it makes this a 1 and this a 0. Now we can do the 0 and the 1. What we don't know is where these two, which column has which part, but we do know that it's 4 and 6 with a 2, 3 with a 5. So these are a 5, 6 pair. And one of these is a 4 and one of them is 2, 3. Okay, and this, now we can get rid of the 6. This is a 7, 8, and 9, which means this is not 9, which means this is 4. One of these is a 6, and the other one is 1, 5. Beautiful. Okay. Very nice. We're making some progress. Okay, so what's... and we know the Schrödinger cell is one of these two. These are a 5 and a 6, and therefore this is Schrödinger cell. That's interesting. Okay. So we can actually clear out that whole column from being potential Schrödingers. So I guess we could look at what's left in here maybe. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. We know 2 of them have to go in here. Now that's interesting with this Renband because we've got 2, 3, and 4 that are smaller and 7 and 8 that are pretty big, and they have to be, and the 4, look, the 4 can't be in here. The 4 is here, and this can't be 2 or 3. So this is a 4 with a 7 or an 8, which on the Renband, which means if you have a 4 and a 7, there has to be a 5 and a 6, or else the 4 and the 7 are not part of a consecutive series. Where are we going to put the 5 and the 6? We can't put it right here. These have to be a 5, 6 pair. That's kind of wild. Now this could be a 4 and a 7, and then you could put a 3 or an 8 right here. You can't have a 2, though. That can't be a 2. Or this is a 4 and an 8, and you'd have to put a 7 right here. Not sure which way. But these are 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. The 5, 6 pair was kind of wild. I was not expecting to get something like that. Wondering if we should look at this one now. We know there's a 9 up here, but the 9 could be right here, I think. If the 9 was on this line, that would tell us quite a bit about what else has to be on here. But I think the 9 could be right here, at least, for right now. Okay, I'm going to look at these up here because these are going to be pretty restricted up here. Normally, if we didn't have this little leg coming off of here, if these were just 3 lines, it would have to be normally 1, 2, 3 on one of them, 4, 5, 6 on one, 7, 8, 9 on the other one. It's still going to have to be kind of close to that. We do have the extra thing with the 0. The 0 can't be here. So the 0 is on one of these. Okay. What I'm thinking is this is 7, 8, and 9 down here now, which means we can't put 7, 8, and 9 on any of these lines. Because if wherever you put the 9, let's say the 9 cannot be on here. If the 9 was on this line, it would force the 8 and the 7 onto the line. This would have no options. This cannot be the 9. The 9 on here, same thing. It's going to force the 8 and the 7. So the 9 has to be over here. Okay, so this is not 9. Now that forces the 8. The 8 could be here though. And even actually the 8 and the 7 could both be there theoretically. Eight, 7. That would force the 6 on here. Actually, okay, right. Yes. Okay, we do get something. Look at this. The 9 is on here. We can't put the 8 and the 7 on here, right? We could put one of them on here, but we can't put both because of the 7 and the 8 down here. So this is a 7 or an 8. Theoretically, it could be both. But it's going to have to, for sure, be... Whatever digit is here is definitely going to have to be right there. But now that we put one of the digits on here, 9, let's imagine this is 8, we now have to put 7 and 6 on here. If this is the 7, same thing. This is 9 and 8, 7 here. But the 6 is definitely on this line. This cannot be the 6. This is the 5 with the 2, 3, making this the Schrödinger cell. This is a 4. It's not. This is a 6. There we go. And now we know none of these are Schrödinger cells. Okay. Perfect. Now, oh, and this can't have a 5. So this is 6 and 9 with a 7 or an 8. This is the other one, the 7 or the 8. It's not a Schrödinger. This is the same as this one. So this is 6, 9, 7, 8. There we go. It definitely has a 6 and a 9. It has a 7 or an 8. Which then means this has to be 0 and 1 and 4. Because we've got 6, 7, 8, and 9 here, 2, 3 there, 5 here. These are 0, 1, and 4. Now if the 0 is on an X, it forces the Schrödinger to be next to it. But it looks like you could do a 9 or a 6 in one of these at this point to go with a 1 or a 4. Or it could be a 1 or a 4 with a Schrödinger cell. It doesn't have to be with the 0. Could this be 0 and 4? If this was 1, these would be 0 and 4. You'd have to have 2 and 3 over here. But you could even put the 2 and the 3 in the same cell potentially. Okay, but, excuse me, we do know the 0 and the 1 are here, 0 and the 1 are here, the 0 and the 1 have to be here. That forces the 2 to be there as well. Now we could put the 3 there if we had a Schrödinger cell, but the 0, the 1, and the 2 have to be there. So 5 has to be in here. I think these are from 5, 7, 8, and 9. The 4 and the 6 is here, 0, 1, 2. They could have a 3. Or the 3 could be up here. And so this has to have 2 and 2, 7, 8, and 9. Where's the 6? The 6. Oh, the 6 has to be in here. Sorry, 6 has to be in there too. Okay, what's over here though? Oh, the 4 and the 5 have to be over here. And either the 7 or the 8, because the 7 or the 8 is in here. One of them is missing. Okay, so it has to be 4, 5, and 7. Right, there's no way to get to 8, because to get to 8 from 4 and 5, you'd have to have 6 and 7. And could you put an 8? No, because you have to have the 7. Right, the 6 can't be in here. This has to be a 6. Could this be 6 and 7? That's the question. And this could be 4, 5, 8. Is that possible? If this was 6 and 7, could you put 4, 5, 8 there? This would be 6, 7, 9. You'd have to have the 3 in here. Ah, shoot. I think that's actually possible. But we do know the 6 is here. So these are not 6s. The 6 is here. Oh, we can't put an 8 or a 9 on this line. Or a 7, because we have to have, I mean, we can't put 4 on both of these, obviously. So one of these is at most a 1. Can we even put a 5? We could put a 5, but we have to have a 3 on this line, no matter what. If this was 0 and 1, you'd still have to have 2 and 3. So there has to be a 3 on this line. And we can't do 7 or 8. I think it's 2 and 3, and you could potentially put a 5. But you don't have to. But we could just do 2 and 3. And so then this could be 1, 4, or 0, 1. But it has to have the 1. This can't be the 1. And the 6 is here. So we can't put a 6 there. So if this was the 4, oh, you could still do 1, 5, though, couldn't you? You can't do 2, 4, but you could do 1, 5 here with the 4. So what does that tell us? What does that tell us? Well, one thing I know is we don't know if the 7 is up here or if this is a 6 and a 7. But there's definitely a 7 on this Ren band. So this is not a 7. Something. Now, interestingly, this is either a 1, 5. It's got too many options. If you put a 0 there, this has too many options. Oh, but this is a Schrödinger cell no matter what. Because if this is 0, this has to be the Schrödinger cell. If this is a 4, we can't put a 6 there. So this is a Schrödinger cell. And now we know, okay, awesome. Because now we know a lot of things. Oh, look at this. Look at this. That gives us this. That's the 1, 5. This is the 6. But we know this is not. So this can't be a 6 and a 7. This just has to be a 6. This is 4, 5, 7. You can't do 4, 5, 7, 8 because you can't take the 7 and the 8 out of here. So this is 6, 8, 9. This is a 7. This is a 7. The 3 is going to be in one of these. This can't be 2 because the 2 has to be on the line here. So 7, 8, 9. We still don't know much about. Okay. Oh, these are all grade. Very nice. So this now, if it's a 0, we could do 1, 9. We could do 2, 8. We couldn't do 3, 7 or 4, 6. Oh, this can't be a 7 now. This one cannot be a 0. Right. Oh, and it can't be a 4 because you'd have to have a 6 here. This is a 1 and a 9 because it has to be a normal standard old X because these are both grayed out. They're not Schrödinger cells. So now we can't do 1, 9, 3, 7, 4, 6. It would have to be 2, 8 if it's a 0. If it's a 4, it would have to be 1, 5. This is not a 1. We have to have the 2, which has to be there. So this has to have a 3. The 3 has to be up here. This could be 3, 5, or it could just be a 3. But one of these two is a Schrödinger cell here. And one of these is a Schrödinger cell. These are not. Now this could be 0 with a 3, 7. 1 with a 4, 5. 2 with a 3, 5. Oop. But I think, yeah, this has to be the Schrödinger cell. It's either 3, 5, 4, 5, or 3, 7. So we can't eliminate any digits from it. But it does have a 7, so this is not a 7. Right, so we have an 8, 9 pair there. Okay. Okay, 0, 4 means this would have to be a 1 or a 3 or a 5, which is interesting because of this 3, 5 here. Oh, we know there's a 3 here, so this can't be a 3. So this would have to be a 0 with a 1, which we said 0 would have 2 and 8, so that's theoretically, 4 would have 1, 5. Oh, like if this was 1, 5, what would you put there? Nothing. So this is 0 with a 2, 8. This is a 1. This is 4. This is now a 3 because we've got the 2 and the 8 up here. So that makes this the 2. This is a 4 with a 7 or an 8, and this is the other one, the 7 or the 8. So our Ren band is going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, and now the 9. Look. Remember when I said if the 9 was on the line, it would help us a lot? The 9 is now on the line because of this 9. So this is now, and none of these can have 2 digits. So these are 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. It's just your standard old Ren band. Nothing fancy. The 9. 8. 9, 8. These are not, not 8. Not 8. Oh, and this one can't be 9. So the 9 is up here. So this is 3 and 7, and then we just have to figure out where the 5 goes. So 7 is here. This is not 7. It's not 8. And we have a 5, 6 pair. This is not the 5. This is the 7. This is a 3, 5. These are not 6. I think they could be 5, 7, 8, or 9. Well, one of them has to be a 9. This is 5 or 8, because it has to be 5, 7, 8, or 9. Those are the only ones. Oh, we can't use a 5. We can't use a 5. This is kind of hard to scan because you want to see this as your pencil marks, the options for the cell, but actually this is a 1 and a 5. That's the same as placing digits in the grid. So this is not. What can this be? This is a 7, 8, 9. This has to be. Oh, 0, of course. We can't forget 0. So that's a 0. So what's up here then? 0, 1, 2, 3. These are 4 and 5, I believe. And look, we've got 6, 7, 8, 9 here. This has to be a 5, 6, 5. These are 6 and 7 or 8. What's left in here? 0, 2, 3, 4. Oh, so these can't be, yeah, because of that. This 0, 2, 3, 4. And these have to be 3 digits, and they have to be consecutive digits. So they have to be the 2, 3, 4. That puts the 0 here. These are not Schrödinger. These are not. I gotta remember to mark all of these. So there's this X has a Schrödinger cell in it. Okay. 4 here and here puts 4 over here. It's got to be right there. Oh, these can't be 8s. Again, the scanning, the 2 and the 8 here, it removes the 8 from there. So this is 9 and 8. This is 6 and 7. That's a 7. That is 4 and 8. Okay. Now, this is a 3. These are 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 8, and 9. If that's a 0, this would have to be a 1, and it can't be. So this can't be the 0. It's an 8 or it's an 8. It's an 8. Wait, what happened? There we go. It's an 8 because there's a 9 right here. And the 8 means this has to be a 7 or a 9, and there's a 9 right there. So that's a 7. These are 1 and 5, just what's left in the row, or you could go with what's left in the box, I guess. If you prefer to do it that way. 1 and 5, and the 5 down here gives us the order of those. This 5. Uh-oh. Oh, I broke it. Because you can't do a 5 on an X without a Schrödinger cell. Oh no, what did I do? All right, let me back up a little bit. I did something wrong. Those are 0, 8, and 9. This is 0. It forces a 1. All right, so what did I do wrong? Okay, so this can't be a 0. It has to be an 8, which then has to have a 7 or a 9. This is... One, 5. That's a 1, and this is a 5. Okay, so what I'm wondering is, I'm going to temporarily mark that as possibly. Did I mess up over here when I marked this as Schrödinger? Nope, I know what I did. It's right here. I put the 3 there because I had the... okay. I think this is... This is a 5 and this is a 2, but we actually could put the 3 in either spot here. And then the 3 could be, because then you could do 3 and 7 here. Which is probably what it has to be, actually. Because that's the only way to do it without a Schrödinger cell. And that would allow this one to be the Schrödinger cell. And that would force this to be 2, 3, this to just be a 5. I think that might work. And now one of these is going to have to be the 0, 1, and 2. I think that works. Let's hope. Okay, so this has to be 5. It can't be 2, 3. It's got to be 1, 4, which means this is a 5 and a 4, and that's a 5 and a 4. So this is now not Schrödinger. That one is. But I don't think we know what goes where. Oh, this is a 1 and a 4, so this can't be 4. So it's 2, 3. 4 has to be over here. But it could go with a 2 or a 3, whichever one is not there. Okay, is that all good now? Let me just stare at it for a second. That looks like it's going to work. Oh, and while I'm staring, I see the 7 looking at the 6, 7 here. And these are not 8s. Okay, are we all good now? I think so. Trying to keep an eye on my my hard drive space. These longer videos, sometimes I worry I'm gonna run out of space. My recording is gonna stop. Not that would ever actually happen, right? Looks like I'm good though. Okay. So these are 0, 1, 6, 8, 9. That's a lot of options. But 3 digits have to sum to 10 here. So, yeah, you have to use, yeah, okay. Right. So any 2 combinations from 6, 8, and 9 is already over 10. You can't use 2 from 6, 8, and 9. So you can only use 1 from 6, 8, 9. We need to have 3 digits. We have to use the 0 and the 1. To make 10, it goes with 9. So that's a 0, 1, 9. This is a 6 or an 8. The 0, 1, 9 makes this an 8 and a 9. That 8 makes this a 6. This is not a 6. And then I guess these are now 2, 3, and 8. This one's not 3. Oh, there's no way to put an 8 on a Ren band with a 1 and a 4. No, not a chance. So this is 2, that's 3, this is 8. This is not 8, not 8, therefore. And the 8 means we can't put a 0 or a 1 on the Ren band. So this is a 9. This is a 0, 1, which makes that the Schrödinger, makes this that way. This can't be a 0, 1, it's a 2. That's a 0 and a 1. I think that's all working. This is not a 9, 6, 8, 9, yeah. 6, 9, 8, so this has to be 7 and 6. The 7 there means it goes here and there. Oh, also the 6 down here. The 6 gives us the 9, and the 8 and the 6. These are 2 and 8. We're closing in. I think I'm going to finish this in under an hour. The 8 down here. I feel like that's a big win. Even with my little stumble over here. I got a little excited with marking things. I think I marked Schrödinger cells too early. These are 0 and a 9. 0 and a 9 down here. But the Ren band will fix that for us. That is the weirdest looking deadly pattern. 0, 9. But the 3, 2, 1, 4, this has to be a 0, obviously, for the Ren band, which gives us 0 and 9. This is not 0. That's not 0. This is the 0. These are 3 and 5. The 5 there gives us the order of those. 3, 5, 2, 3. The 7 up above gives us the 6 and the 7. And I think that it. I think that might be correct. We're not going to get the looks good pop up because of the Schrödinger cells, of course. Because this software just looks for, normal Sudoku being completed. I think that's the solution. So there you go. Wow, that was one of those head scratchers, especially at the beginning. It was nice of Zeta to give us these 2 X's, which was a, relatively obvious place to start looking because there's no way to have 2 X's in a row like that. Very cool. The scanning was hard. It was hard to think about two numbers being in the same cell and this not being like the options for the cell like we normally have. In some ways, the scanning was hard like the tight fit Sudoku, but also a lot different. But mainly just because you're putting the 2 digits in the cell. Very cool puzzle. So thank you from zetamath for that. That is part of our reverse cycle. So Bremster is going to be solving a puzzle from me. And then I believe then I don't remember. So then Bremster must be sending a puzzle to Ranks, who's sending a puzzle to Zeta, I believe is the way it works. Whatever it was last time, we're going the other way around the loop. So I just send the puzzle to whoever they tell me to and solve a puzzle from whoever sends one to me. So there you go. Go check out zetamath's channel and his solve of, well, his and Tristan's, actually. Tristan helped him solve my puzzle. I'll leave a link down below, up above, over there, probably. All the usual places. You'll be able to find the things. Thank you very much, Zeta, for that puzzle. That was a lot of fun. It was definitely mind-bending. Cool idea. Now I want to go make a puzzle with Schrödinger cells. Yeah, there you go. Let me know what you thought of that puzzle, and I'll see you guys again soon with another puzzle. Thanks.